This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
President of the Republic Abdelmajid Tebboune has held with his Indian counterpart extensive discussions during which they discussed bilateral cooperation and regional and international issues of common concern. The Africa and Mediterranean Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference, or NAPEC, today kicked off in the western city of Oran. And in Lebanon, several people have been killed in airstrikes carried out by the Israeli occupation against the southern areas of the country amid the exchanges of fire taking place along its border. Those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. Good afternoon. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, is currently holding a press conference with his Indian counterpart, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu. The President said he held with his Indian counterpart extensive discussions during which they tackled bilateral cooperation and prospects for its development. They also touched on current regional and international issues and agreed on boosting investment and trade exchanges between Algeria and India. He added that the focus is to prepare for the next session of the Joint Committee for Cooperation and Political Consultation, as well as meeting businessmen in a way that serves efforts to support bilateral relations. The Middle East file, with all its dimensions and repercussions, was at the heart of the discussions, especially the aggression on the Gaza Strip and Lebanon and the serious repercussions that followed on the region and the world. You still listen to Radio Algeria International. The President reaffirmed the right of the Palestinian people to establish their independent state and said that he respects the outcomes of the Security Council regarding the Sahrawi issue. There is also a convergence of views and agreement to continue efforts for peace and stability in the region and various regions of the world between Algeria and India. And the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has held a one-on-one meeting with the President of the Republic of India, Mrs. Draupadi Murmu, at the headquarters of the Presidency of the Republic here in Algiers. The talks then extended to members of the delegations of both Algeria and India. This comes as part of the second day of the state visit of the President of India to Algiers. Earlier today, President Tebboune granted an official welcome to his Indian counterpart at the headquarters of the Presidency of the Republic. India's President also laid a wreath of flowers at the Martyrs Sanctuary in memory of the Algerian martyrs, accompanied by the Algerian Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Kamal Badawi. You still listen to Radio Algeria International, and now let's recall that the state visit of the President of the Republic of India is of great importance, and it comes as part of the historical dynamic that contributed to the consolidation of relations and the convergence of views between the two countries on several regional and international issues of common concern, with a common desire of reviving economic cooperation. The importance of this visit also lies in the fact that it is the first time in years that a senior Indian official visits Algeria, with the last visit being that of the Indian Minister of State for External Affairs, Shri Muralid Khan, in 2021, preceded by the visit of former Indian Vice President Mohammed Hamid Ansari in 2016. You still listen to Radio Algeria International. The Africa and Mediterranean Energy and Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference, or NAPEC, today started in the western city of Oran. On the first day, several memoranda of understanding were signed. The details with Jamal Selmani, who is on the spot.
The Minister of Energy, Mr. Mohammed Arqab, has given the kick-off to the conference and exhibition. In his opening speech, Mr. Arqab stressed that hydrogen is one of the main objectives of the Algerian government, which aims to make it a strategic carrier, respecting its climate commitments and its energy transition program. He recalled that Algeria has important advantages that qualify it to become a major regional leader in this field. The minister added that Algeria is continuing its efforts in research and exploration, expanding its reserves base, increasing its production capacities, and improving the recovery rate of its oil and gas reserves. Mr. Arqab said that the National Agency for the Valorization of Hydrocarbon Resources will announce the first tender, Algeria Bid Round 2024, under the new hydrocarbon law, which represents an important step in attracting foreign investments and operators in the development of the hydrocarbon sector. Mr. Arqab announced the holding of an international conference on green hydrogen in Algeria in April 2025, which will be an opportunity to present the latest technological and economic developments in the field of hydrogen at the regional and international levels. Later on, the Algerian Minister of Energy presided over the signing ceremony of a Memorandum of Understanding on joint studies between Algeria and companies from Italy, Germany and Austria on the producing green hydrogen in Algeria in order to supply the European market via the South 2 corridor. The corridor is a 3,300-kilometer hydrogen pipeline that connects North Africa, Italy, Austria and Germany. The Memorandum of Understanding was also signed between Algeria and the United States of America on cooperation in the field of climate change and the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, in particular methane. The minister said that this extremely important memorandum between the two countries, especially in the context of our climate commitments and the prospects for strengthening our cooperative relations, concerns support for efforts to identify sources and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases, particularly methane, through collaborative activities. Another memorandum of understanding was also signed between the National Hydrocarbon Group Sonatrach and a Spanish multinational oil and gas group. It aims at developing a project to reduce green hydrogen in Algeria in order to supply mainly the European market. At a time when the energy transition poses new challenges, Algeria offers a unique opportunity for investment both in traditional hydrocarbons and in clean energies. An increasing number of global energy players are looking to partner with Algeria to explore and develop innovative projects in this field. From the western city of Oran, Jamal Salmani to Radio Algeria International.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, and more details about NAPEC with my colleague Majid Mira, who is with me in the studio. Hi, Majid.
Hi, Asya, indeed. Meanwhile, in his statement at the opening ceremony of this year's NAPEC edition, the Minister of Energy, Mohamed Arqab, has expressed Algeria's firm belief in the importance of technical and technological cooperation to address common technical and economic challenges in the energy sector that require collective solutions and integrated efforts. He said this year's NAPEC edition is an opportunity for thinking, consulting and discussing important topics in order to come up with constructive recommendations and proposals that serve the interest of energy development and reducing the carbon footprint. The Energy Minister also laid emphasis on the importance granted by the Algeria energy sector to green hydrogen and its exportation to the energy market. By completing the southern corridor to transport green hydrogen, the companies Sonatrach, Snam, Verbund, C corridor and VNG are working on supplying the European market with green hydrogen and transporting about 4 million tons of green hydrogen yearly in the mid and long run. Another memorandum of understanding will be signed between the Sonatrach Group and the Spanish company Cepsa with the aim of strengthening cooperation in the field of green hydrogen by studying the technical and economic feasibility of the project of producing green hydrogen with a 200 megawatt capacity and the possibility of exporting this hydrogen towards Spain via the existing facilities. The CEO of the Sonatrach Group, Rashid Hashishi, for his part, stressed the importance of working out coherent and coordinated solutions to meet the growing energy demand on one hand and respect the environmental requirements on the other hand. The goal lies in making an effective and sustainable energy mix at the same time, at a time when the world is increasingly heading towards renewable energies. Thus, it's necessary to work out coherent and coordinated solutions that meet the growing energy demand on one hand and respect the environmental requirements On the other hand, this requires from the energy actors to adopt this proposal in a gradual and careful manner. In this context, hydrocarbons will keep playing an active role in this transition, notably natural gas being the least polluting energy source. Renewable energies should be at the heart of our strategies in the long run, notably solar energy, air energy, and green hydrogen. We are working on overcoming the collective challenge of finding the right means to integrate these energies effectively in our energy mix. Let's note that the Africa-Mediterranean Energy Hydrogen Exhibition and Conference NAPEC 2024 is continuing in the western city of Oran until Wednesday. The president of NAPEC, Jafar Yassini, has pointed at the importance of the conference while shedding light on the challenges of the energy market and solutions to be discussed during the event.
One of the most critical challenges of our time, securing a sustainable and efficient energy future. As we stand at the crossroad of traditions and innovation, we are reminded that hydrocarbons remain vital for the global economy, yet the world's demand cleaner, more sustainable energy sources. Our challenge is to balance these two energies. More sustainable energy sources, our challenge is ensuring economic growth while reducing emissions and safeguarding our planet. The presence of estimated ambassadors, ministers, and global leaders here today reaffirm the importance of the collaboration in our shared mission. Together, we can create a future where hydrocarbons and clean energies work hand in hand.
That was the statement of the president of NAPEC, Jafar Yassini. Back to you, Asia.
Thank you, Majid. And the Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali has said that the last ruling issued by the European Court of Justice clearly affirms that Morocco has no sovereignty over Western Sahara. In his speech made on the occasion of the 49th anniversary of the national unity, he described the court's decision as historic and as a major victory for the Sahrawi people. President Ghali said that the court's decision to cancel the trade accords concluded between the EU and Morocco had reiterated well-established truths on the Sahrawi issue and had defined occupied Western Sahara as a distinct and separated territory. In a similar move, the French Sahrawi Ahmed Baba Misk Center of Studies described the European Court's ruling as a decisive turning point in the Western Sahara conflict. In a report, it shed light on the importance of the ruling and on its repercussions on the diplomatic, political and economic plans, notably by recognizing the Polisario Front as the unique and legitimate representative of Western Sahara. The French Sahrawi Center of Studies noted that such a decision weakened Morocco's attempts to put pressure on the EU by exploiting the migration issue. Let's recall that a rally was held outside the town hall in France to denounce the support brought by the French authorities to Morocco's autonomy plan. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International and more details with Majid Mila.
Yes, indeed. Asia, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly and head of the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union, Brahim Boughali, has participated in Geneva in the joint meeting of the chairman of the IPU's geopolitical groups and permanent committees. Addressing the meeting chaired by the union's president, Tulia Akson, Mr. Boughali hailed the efforts of the IPU chairwoman, calling for attention to be paid to other areas of conflict forgotten by the IPU, such as Sudan, Libya, and the Sahel. Boughali recalled Ms. Akson of the importance of working out a training and capacity building program for parliaments in emerging countries with the aim of ensuring the effectiveness of parliamentary performance at both the national and international levels. Mr. Boughali also referred to the emergency clause that the Arab group would submit on behalf of the State of Palestine concerning the cessation of Zionist violations in the occupied Palestinian territories, calling on the chairman of the other political groups to back the clause in support of the rights of the Palestinian people. The IPU chairwoman Tulia Axon, for her part, made a report on her activities since the end of the 148th IPU Assembly and on her participation to a number of parliamentary events with the aim of promoting parliamentary diplomacy and the IPU's role in conflict resolution, notably in the Middle East and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Meanwhile, Brahim Boughali has held a series of meetings with the head of the Iranian Shura Council, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, to discuss the humanitarian situation in Palestine and Lebanon. The two parties then discussed the humanitarian situation in Palestine and Lebanon following the Zionist bombardments, citing the lack of humanitarian aid. On the occasion, the Iranian official congratulated Mr. Boughali on the re-election of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, for a new term and on the success of the presidential election. The head of the parliamentary group of the Presidential Third and member of the Executive Committee of the Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union, Mr. Saad Arous, has taken part in the 37th Extraordinary Congress of the AIPU in Geneva, Switzerland, along with Mr. Lezreg Bitahar, the head of the independent parliamentaries. The meeting, convened by the IPU's head, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, will examine solutions to put an end to the barbaric aggression perpetrated by the Israeli occupying authorities against Gaza, the occupied Palestinian territories, and Lebanon. Back to you, Asya.
Thank you, Majid. And the representative of several African, Asian, European and Latin American meeting in Bilbao, Spain, have reiterated their inalienable support to the Sahrawi cause and to the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination and independence. Their support was made ahead of the closing ceremony of the Third International Youth Forum of Solidarity with Western Sahara. In a final communique issued at the end of the three-day forum organized by the Polisario Front's Youth Union, the International Youth Network of Solidarity with Western Sahara expressed its firm support to the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination in conformity with UN resolutions. The network denounced Morocco's illegal occupation of Western Sahara and its systematic human rights violation to which the Sahrawis, and notably the youth, are confronted. In this respect, it urged the international community to act urgently to guarantee the fulfillment of the Sahrawi people's right to a fair referendum on Western Sahara's self-determination. To the Middle East now, the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abul Ghait, has called on the international community to defend the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, in the face of the Israeli occupation's campaign to liquidate it. Mr. Abul Ghait also condemned the seizure by the Israeli occupation of the land on which the UNRWA headquarters is located in occupied Al-Quds to transform it into a settlement outpost, stressing that the occupation is engaged in a continuous plan to eliminate the role of the UNRWA. The Arab League official also condemned in the strongest terms the ongoing Israeli assault in the northern Gaza Strip, particularly in Jabalia, which has left hundreds of martyrs and wounded. He stressed that the Israeli occupation is taking advantage of the global concern over its crimes in Lebanon to continue to commit more crimes that add to its shameful record in Gaza, explaining that the aim of the raid was to separate northern Gaza from the rest of the Strip, completely empty it of its population and implement its displacement plan. The Secretary General added that the occupation is using extremely brutal policies by depriving residents of essential supplies such as water and food, in addition to targeting health facilities and destroying buildings. To Lebanon now, several people have been killed in airstrikes carried out by the Israeli occupation against the southern areas of the country amid exchanges of fire taking place along its border. According to the Red Cross and the Health Ministry, 18 people were killed in the raids that targeted the village in the northern part of Lebanon. The news agency ANI stressed that it was the first time that the village located in a mainly Christian region is hit by the Israeli occupation. You're still listening to Radio Algeria International, 2:50 minutes Algeria's time. That's it for our news bulletin. I invite you now to listen to a cultural program compiled and presented by Aziz Agassi.
Hello and good to have you with us in this new edition of Inspiring Figures. Today we'll shed light on the only person to win a Nobel Prize for both chemistry and physics. Marie Curie was a Polish scientist who made groundbreaking work in the field of radioactivity, enabling radioactive isotopes to be isolated for the first time. During the First World War, Curie developed the practical use of X-rays. She also discovered two new elements, polonium and radium. Her pioneering scientific work was made more remarkable because of the discrimination which existed against women in science at the time. She was the first female professor at the University of Paris and broke down many barriers for women in science. Marie Curie said, quote, "Humanity needs practical men who get the most out of their work and without forgetting the general good safeguard their own interests. But humanity also needs dreamers, for whom the disinterested development of an enterprise is so captivating that it becomes impossible for them to develop their care to their own material profit." End of quote. Maria Sklodowska was born in 1867 in Warsaw, Poland. She was the youngest of 5 children and was brought up in a poor but well-educated family. Maria excelled in her studies and won many prizes. At an early age, she became committed to the ideal of Polish independence from Russia, who at the time were ruling Poland with an iron fist, and in particular making life difficult for intellectuals. She yearned to be able to teach fellow Polish women, who were mostly condemned to zero education. Unusually for women at the time, Maria took an interest in chemistry and biology. Since opportunities in Poland for further study was limited, Maria went to Paris, where after working as a governess, she was able to study at the Sorbonne, Paris. Struggling to learn in French, Maria threw herself into her studies, leading a life dedicated to education and improving her scientific knowledge. She went on to get a degree in physics and finished top in her school. She later got a degree in maths, finishing second in her school year. Curie had a remarkable willingness for hard work. She said, quote, "Life is not easy for any of us. But what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing, at whatever cost, must be attained." End of quote. It was in Paris that she met Pierre Curie, who was then chief of the laboratory at the School of Physics and Chemistry. He was a renowned chemist who had conducted many experiments on crystals and electronics. Pierre asked young Maria to marry him. Maria initially refused, but after persistence from Pierre, she relented. Until Pierre's untimely death in 1906, the two became inseparable. In addition to cooperation on work, they spent much leisure time by cycling and traveling around Europe together. Now let's talk about Marie Curie's work on radioactivity. Marie Curie pursued studies in radioactivity in 1898. This led to the discovery of two new elements, one of which she named polonium, after her home country. There then followed 4 years of extensive study into the properties of radium. Using dumped uranium tailings from a nearby mine very slowly and with painstaking efforts, they were able to extract a decigram of radium. Radium was discovered to have remarkable impacts. In testing the product, Marie suffered burns from the rays. It was from this discovery of radium and its properties that the science of radiation was able to develop. It was found that radium had the power to burn away diseased cells in the body. Initially, this early form of radiotherapy was called Curie therapy. The Curies agreed to give away their secret freely. They did not wish to patent such a valuable element. The element was soon in high demand and it began industrial scale production. For their discovery, they were awarded the Davy Medal and the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1903. Marie Curie was the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize. In 1906, Pierre was killed in a road accident, leaving Marie to look after the laboratory and her two children. Her two children were Irène Joliot-Curie and Ève Curie. Irène won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1935, jointly with her husband. In 1911, she was awarded a second Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of actinium and further studies on radium and polonium. The success of Marie Curie also brought considerable hostility, criticism, and suspicion from a male-dominated science world. She suffered from the malicious rumors and accusations that were spread amongst jealous colleagues. The onset of the World War I in 1914 led to Marie Curie dedicating her time to the installation of X-ray machines in hospitals. Marie understood that X-ray machines would be able to locate shrapnel, enabling better treatment for soldiers. By the end of the First World War, over 1 million soldiers had been examined by her X-ray units. At the end of the First World War, she returned to the Institute of Radium in Paris. She also published a book, Radiology in War, in 1919, which encompassed her great ideas on science. Curie was also proud to participate in the newly formed League of Nations through joining the International Commission for Intellectual Cooperation in August 1922. Marie Curie was known for her modest and frugal lifestyle. She asked any financial prizes to be given to research bodies rather than herself. During the First World War, she offered her Nobel Prizes to the French Treasury. Marie Curie died in 1934 from cancer. It was an unfortunate side effect of her own groundbreaking studies into radiation, which were to help so many people. Marie Curie pushed back many frontiers in science and at the same time set a new bar for female academic and scientific achievement. Her discovery of radium enabled Ernest Rutherford to investigate the structure of the atom, and it provided the framework for radiotherapy for cancer. Marie Curie also played a leading role in redefining women's role in society and science. Well, with this, we come to the end of today's program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
إذاعة الجزائر الدولية لن تفوتكم لحظة واحدة من الأخبار السياسية والاقتصادية الهامة. إذاعة الجزائر الدولية، صوتنا في العالم.